Breaking news overnight in Israel, in the war zone. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin arrived in Israel early this morning to meet with Prime Minister Netanyahu and discuss military aid.
Take a live look at Gaza right now. Israel is urging the evacuation of more than 1 million people in northern Gaza, an indication the military may be preparing for a ground invasion. Our chief foreign correspondent, Ian Pannell, starts us off in Jerusalem. Good morning, Ian.
Yeah, good morning, Rebecca, from Damascus Gate, which is just outside the old city of Jerusalem. I've been here many times, and I have to say, it is eerily calm. There is a really tense atmosphere here. But as you say, the situation in Gaza is certainly not calm. A seventh day of continuous bombing, as many residents now are being warned by the Israeli Defense Forces to leave their homes.
This morning, as the bombing of Gaza continues, Israel calling on hundreds of thousands of people to leave their homes amid fears of an imminent land operation. Israel saying people should move from North Gaza for their own protection, but Hamas telling residents they should stay where they are. Overnight, the UN warning that moving so many people could have, quote, devastating humanitarian consequences. Its own teams in Gaza also affected by the advice as a convoy of UN vehicles drive south. Now, the military wing of Hamas claiming that 13 of the 150 hostages, which includes Americans, were killed in overnight bombing. Vast areas in Gaza already reduced to rubble, the death toll climbing remorselessly. More than 1,500 Palestinians killed since Saturday's attack in Israel, many more wounded. 300,000 Palestinians have been forced from their homes so far. This little girl seen crying in a stranger's arms. Humanitarian groups say hospitals are overwhelmed and on the brink of collapse. Today, worshippers attending midday prayers in Jerusalem amid calls by Hamas for a day of rage.
This is one of the most holy sites in Islam. The police aren't allowing anyone in under the age of 50. There is a lot of anger, there's a lot of tension, and there's a lot of fear.
Now, Israeli forces are gathering at the border with Gaza for a possible ground assault. Israel retaliating for last Saturday's massacre of Israeli civilians that killed more than 1,300 people, including at least 27 Americans. And as the fighting intensifies, there are growing fears that the war could spread. Overnight, Iran, a sponsor of Hamas, says opening other fronts could be possible.
I saw some images today that I hadn't seen before.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken telling our David Muir about haunting new images he was shown by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
It almost defies human comprehension precisely because it's not human. And it reminds me, in some ways, of the worst of what we saw from ISIS a few years ago.
Well, what we're seeing here, I think, on both sides is high levels of suffering, high levels of fear. And you've got this toxic mix of fear and anger, and that's leading to tension, not just here, but in Gaza, on the southern border, and across Israel, about what is to follow in the coming days. So the events that we've seen over the last 7 days have been horrendous, but there are genuine fears that what we're about to see could even be worse. Rebecca.
And Ian, what we can see behind you in Jerusalem is one of the holiest sites in the world, with Hamas calling for that day of rage. What are you seeing? What is the mood on the ground there?
Yeah, that's right. They call for this day of rage, not just here in Israel or in the Palestinian territories, but also around the world, a day of action. Now, I have to say, it's very, very quiet here, unusually quiet. We spoke to someone at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, someone on our team did, and they said that normally they'd expect something like 4,000 worshippers to gather in the morning in the early prayers, but there are only just a few hundred who gathered. It's very quiet. All the shops are closed. We're hearing that there may well have been protests in some areas, but other than that, so far, here at least, people are afraid. People are afraid about the Israeli response. And as I say, people are genuinely angry about what's happened, but worried that if they protest, the reaction could be even stronger. Just one last thing. The United Nations just issuing a warning saying the situation in Gaza is horrendous, and warning that this order to push people from their homes will push Gaza into the abyss. Rebecca.
Just an unspeakably difficult week and great challenges ahead. Ian, thank you so much for your reporting on the ground there for us all week long. Please stay safe.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.